Well, today is a monumental day, and not just because we have officially crossed over into December, which means that Christmas is practically here. It's almost 2026. But today marks the official launch, the first ever episode of the Leadership Press podcast. Welcome to the Leadership Press podcast. My name is Mike Z, and I'll be your host. Oh, this is gonna take some getting used to for me. I truly am so grateful that you're here. The Leadership Press is actually something that isn't brand new. It is in this format, but it is something that I introduced within our church community context the beginning of this year in newsletter format. We've really had a focus this year as a church on building and growing leaders. And so I started the Leadership Press as a way to resource and encourage and equip the leaders within our community. And it's been the thing that I really I look forward to it so much. I love putting together this content. And as I've been doing it and as I've begun to get more and more feedback from people, more encouragement from people, the concept, the possibility of taking it and turning it into a podcast format began to kind of creep in, tap on my shoulder. And I've been very reluctant to this. I've kind of been fighting it. Everyone's got a podcast these days. And, in an effort to not act out of pride or to make this thing about me, I became the very barrier that got in the way of what could be helping and serving people. And so after a few conversations with some few healthy, good conversations with some friends, mentors, here we are today launching the Leadership Press podcast. And so on the first of every month, I'll be releasing a new episode. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. But gosh, leadership comes with weight. It comes with a lot of responsibility, and it comes with a lot of pressure. And so I'm trying to help change our perspective, really to see that pressure as a privilege. Leadership is a privilege. It's something that we get to do, but it can be really challenging and it can be really hard. And so this whole podcast resource, this is created for leaders who feel that weight of responsibility, who feel the pressure, who feel the expectations, have people that rely on them, who feel that pressure, but man, we don't want to run from it. Like, we want to press into it, because I've found that it's in the pressing that the oil is produced. It's in and through the pressure that purpose is revealed. And so the goal here is pretty simple. It's really just to provide practical resources, practical insight that help you press into the challenges of leadership. Gosh, I've been serving, in a ministry context for many years now, and serving on different teams, being led and leading others. And I, by no means, feel like I am any kind of expert on the topic of leadership. Very much a student of still. And in a lot of ways, I feel like I'm just beginning to scrape the surface of what it means to really be a leader. But I love talking about it. And love having these conversations. I love learning about it. I love learning from others about this. And so this podcast is kind of like my effort to press in even. It's like they say that if you really want to master something, become the teacher for it. And so I don't think I'm going to become a master leader. That sounds awful. But I want to learn. I want to get better. I want to grow in this. And so I'm hoping that through this process, we can both, we can all grow together in this. And so I'm hoping that this can be a resource that helps all of us get better at leading day by day, and that's the goal. I just want to be better today than I was yesterday. Taking this thing step by step. So excited to have you on this journey with us. Not sure where or, how this is going to develop. We're starting it a little messy. And so things may and probably will change along the way, format, possibly topics. I mean, who knows where this thing will go? But right now, the goal again is to equip you, to help you grow, to help you get better. And so excited for today. Thanks so much for joining us, and let's dive in. Man, leadership comes with pressure, as what we already talked about, right? It comes with expectations and really big decisions that you've got to make, and budgets and teams that you got to lead, and people relying on you. And man, there's so much weight. And how do you carry that? How do you carry all of that weight? Well, I think one of the things that we can do is making sure that we have the appropriate posture. And one of the postures that I want to talk about today is the posture of gratitude. The posture of gratitude. We just came out of celebrating Thanksgiving. Hope that you got to eat lots of delicious food and had a great time with family and with friends. But man, gratitude is so powerful. I've said it countless times, but the grateful life is a great, full life. And I believe that of leadership as well. I wonder, how often do you exercise thanksgiving and gratitude in your leadership? I think that gratitude is one of the greatest resources. It's like one of the greatest tools that have ever been made available to us. I think so many people miss out on the power of having a grateful heart. Maybe you've heard the phrase before, like, hey, we gotta have an attitude of gratitude around here. And I think that's good. It's important to maintain that. But I think that simply just having an attitude of gratitude isn't enough. Where I have really found the blessing of gratitude is when I've been action-oriented with it, when I've put it to work. So not just when I'm like being positive with an attitude of gratitude, but when I'm actually exercising my gratitude by taking action with it, by expressing my gratitude outwardly in some way. Because I've found also that like unexpressed gratitude is equal to ingratitude. I wonder how many people on your team, whether your team is within an organization or the team in your household or the team in your community, I wonder how many people don't know how much you really appreciate them because you've never actually expressed it. You've never said anything. You've never shown it. And I believe that gratitude has a voice. And if you're truly grateful for something or someone, like you'll say it and you'll show it. So a few quick notes here on gratitude. Man, gratitude changes my posture. All right, talking about the posture of gratitude today. There is a verse, a psalm in the Bible that says that we should enter into God's gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise, that we should enter into his gates with thanksgiving. I wonder, like, what is your posture? Like, what's your entry song as a leader? You step into the room. Like, what are you known for? Again, whether you're leading a team, a family, community, like, what is your starting point? Is your starting point asking from your team? Or is it appreciation for your team? You got to have the right posture of gratitude. You talk about the weight of leadership. You ever been to the gym and maybe you yourself have done this or seen somebody else with bad form, bad posture. They're lifting weights, they're doing an exercise, and they're able to lift a lot of weight, but their posture, their form is terrible. Man, it doesn't matter how much weight you can lift if your posture is incorrect, because you're just going to end up damaging yourself and possibly even the people around you. But gratitude helps us to have a healthy posture of leadership. It helps us be able to carry this load in a healthy way, to be able to grow and get stronger in a way that helps us to last and to enjoy the ride as well, right? The grateful life. Like, I want to be grateful as I'm going about this thing. I want to be a grateful leader. And so if I want to be a grateful leader, I recognize that gratitude is a decision. And it's not just gratitude is my decision. Gratitude is a choice. It's not a feeling. Okay? Let's not mix this up. Gratitude is a choice. And so it's beautiful because I don't have to feel grateful in order to be grateful. I don't have to feel grateful in order to be grateful. I've had seasons of my life where I didn't feel like being grateful. I didn't feel like life was being very generous in that moment. I've had seasons of my life where I really didn't feel God's faithfulness. You know, I didn't see God's goodness. But I am grateful because God's faithfulness isn't dependent upon my feelings. And his goodness isn't dependent upon my recognition of it. Like, he's always faithful and he's always good. And therefore, I can always choose to be grateful. I can always choose gratitude in any circumstance. Much like this other passage of scripture in 1 Thessalonians, the Apostle Paul tells us to give thanks in all circumstances. He tells us to give thanks in all circumstances. And so it's interesting because he doesn't say be thankful for all circumstances, to give thanks after the circumstances. He says in them. And it's important because it's really easy to give thanks. It's really easy to be grateful when like life's going great, right? When all the answers are coming really fast and there's clarity and the business is growing and doors are opening and new opportunities are coming. Like, it's easy to be grateful in those moments. But the Apostle Paul, when he writes this scripture, he's actually not writing it from a place of comfort or blessing. He's writing it from a place of hardship and difficulty, which means that, man, gratitude is something that I can still decide on. It's something that I can still choose amidst any circumstance. Man, whether I am facing blessing or burden, I can still choose to be grateful. And for the faithful leader, man, we choose to be grateful not as a result of blessing, but based on God's character, because God's always been faithful. Man, we can always choose gratitude, and our gratitude in those moments looks like us saying, God, even if I don't feel it in this moment, even if I don't necessarily see it, I still choose gratitude because I trust you. I trust that you're still working and moving on my behalf. But you got to be intentional with it. Like, you don't just stumble into this, okay? Which brings me to kind of like third point here. Gratitude is a discipline. Gratitude is a discipline. It's something that you've got to cultivate. You know, talk about getting into the gym, right? And utilizing weights. Gratitude is like a muscle that you grow. And you can get better at this, but you got to discipline yourself. It's a spiritual discipline and it's a leadership discipline because, man, the reality is so many of us are actually surrounded by blessings. Like, truly, like if you just took a moment, right, and you start looking at your relationships, at your opportunities, like there are so many blessings in your life, but so often we miss them because we become fixated on what's not working. Right? On what's missing, on what's going wrong, on what isn't here. But gratitude will help you to see things clearly. It might not change what you see, but it will change how you see it. Man, gratitude will help you to notice the progress that's being made in your life. It trains your eyes to see the value in things. It trains your leadership to always be celebrating what's growing and what's going in the right direction. Because so many of us, man, we are drowning in blessings. We're just not disciplined enough to recognize it or to see it. You ever have like a car or something that you suddenly want to get, And then you begin to see that all over the place on the road, right? Man, God's blessings, like blessings are everywhere in your life if you just start looking for them. You start paying attention to them. I think you'll see God's fingerprints and his faithfulness all over your life. Because the things that you appreciate in life, man, those things get better. Like they grow and they grow. You appreciate them more, but the things you depreciate, right? When I'm stingy and when I'm upset and cynical, those things get worse and worse and worse. And so it's not always that the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. The grass is actually greener where you'll water it. And gratitude will help you to water the right things. And so we got to stay disciplined in our gratitude, because what we don't want to do as a leader, and I mean, just as humans, is fall into the entitlement trap. We don't want to fall into the entitlement trap, because the opposite of gratitude isn't ingratitude, it's entitlement. The opposite of gratitude is entitlement. And I think entitlement is something that will destroy you as a leader. Look, whenever you have something that is essentially a privilege for an extended period of time, it begins to feel like something that you're actually entitled to, like something that should just be yours by right. I purchased a used car back in 2019. And when I was looking, I knew I wanted an SUV. I knew I wanted it to be like in a certain amount of condition, only a certain few years old. I had a certain budget that I was working within. And so I was looking for something that I knew would last me a while and had a good track record. And it checked all the boxes in that criteria. It just so happened that the car came with leather seats as well. That wasn't one of the things that I was looking for, but it did come with leather seats. And so at the time, I got the car like bonus. Like, this feels like a privilege. Like, this feels like something fancy. This feels like something special. But now that I've had that car for, 6 years, it feels like it's something that should be mine by right. My wife and I talk about at some point having to get a new car, and I'm like, why do I have to pay extra for leather seats now? This doesn't make any sense. It just feels like it's just something that should come with every car, because it's just something that I've had for so long now. I wonder, what are the areas in your life that are essentially a privilege that you've just grown accustomed to, that you've become entitled to? How do you know if you've become an entitled leader? Let me give you a few quick things here. You might be an entitled leader if you expect loyalty without having invested in. Do you just expect your team to give blind loyalty, even though you haven't built any trust with them, even though you haven't invested anything in them, that they should follow you simply because of your position and not because of your character or because of how you've poured into them? Could be a sign that you're becoming entitled. You might be an entitled leader if you are quicker to defend yourself than to develop yourself. Listen, if feedback feels like an attack instead of a gift, could be a sign that entitlement is creeping in. You might be an entitled leader if you measure success by how much other people do for you. You ever hear leaders bragging on, man, all the things that people do for them? They got so-and-so doing this and so-and-so doing that. Man, like the staff is there to support your ego instead of you being in their life to invest in them, to pour into them. Could be a sign that you're leaning towards entitlement. Because entitlement will put blinders on you. Like, we all have blind spots, but entitlement will accentuate that 1,000%. It's going to blind you to see so many different things. But gratitude, my goodness, gratitude will open my eyes. It's going to help me remember that, like, oh my goodness, all of these things in my life aren't things that I'm actually entitled to. Like whether it's a business, whether it's the team you get to work with, your place of work. I mean, anything in your life truly is not something that you're entitled to. Actually, it is something that you can see as a gift, and even a gift that's been given to you by God. It's something that you have been entrusted with. And having a posture of gratitude, man, choosing gratitude, exercising it as a discipline, it's going to transform your leadership. It's going to transform you as a leader. Man, I want to be a grateful leader, not an entitled one. And so wrapping up here, man, gratitude will shift your focus. Again, it might not change what you see, but it will change how you see it. And so if you're willing to hit pause, exercise some gratitude, it'll change your focus from from what's missing to what's working. It'll shift your focus from an entitlement to stewardship, from problems to possibilities. Man, leaders who lead with gratitude, they're not naive. Man, those are grounded leaders. Leaders who aren't blinded, but who have clarity, who have confidence, who have strength, and who have joy. Some of the most richest people that I've known in my life aren't necessarily monetarily wealthy. They're the people who are the most grateful, walking around just with a heart full of gratitude, enjoying every breath, every day, every aspect, every part of their life. And so just wondering, what is one thing in your leadership that maybe you've taken for granted? Man, what's one thing that you need to start appreciating again? When's the last time you showed appreciation? When's the last time you spoke appreciation? And if you haven't utilized it yet, one of the tools that our team has used is the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. Gary Chapman, if you've ever done the 5 love languages with maybe your spouse or with your kids, super impactful and helpful, super practical tool. But they have a resource for appreciation, languages of appreciation in the workplace. So insightful. Could it be that you've got an employee or a team member or someone that you've tried to show appreciation to by buying them a gift card, buying them something when their language of appreciation is actually not gifts? Maybe it's having them spend quality time together, and they'd rather just be spending time with you. But if you don't know that, they don't actually feel appreciated. So it's just a great resource that you might want to check out if you've got a team that you work with. But man, how and where and who do you need to exercise gratitude? Man, take a moment today, this week, think about it, write it down, okay? And then take action on it. Put it to work. Don't just have an attitude of gratitude. Take action with it. Put it to work, and then sit back and watch how gratitude will completely shift your leadership, how it will change and impact you as a leader. Hey, thanks so much for joining us for this monumental first episode of the Leadership Press. So grateful for you tuning in and listening today. If you found any value in this today, man, would you please go ahead, comment, subscribe. We've got YouTube, we've got Spotify. Be sure to follow us so you don't miss episodes coming out on the first of every month. And until the next one, keep pressing in. Man, I'm cheering you on. I'm in this with you. We're continuing to learn and grow and get better day by day. We want to be better today, better leaders today than we were yesterday. And I believe that we can do that together if we support each other. Let's encourage each other. Let's keep going. I believe the best is yet to come. Take care.